Folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, I'm out here in this little section of woods closest to the house. And the goal here is, I have a point to this. I know you can't tell it from here. Obviously, you can tell that it's really thick in here. And most of this thickness is just little thin, brushy stuff. And then there's a few really large oak trees. This is one. There's one. Let's see if I can get it. Okay, you can kind of see the limbs going up. That's a real big one, and it's beautiful. I mean, that one there is at least around 3 foot across at the base, and this one's about 2.5 foot. And there's another one over here. There's some really nice trees here. So what I'm doing, and then, oh, I forgot to mention, you can't see it, but if you go about 120, 150 foot that way, there's a wet weather creek, and it's really nice. It's not flowing right now, but it does about half of the year. So just the way things are laid out, and I know you can't tell from watching what you're seeing, it's almost like it's set up to be a really perfect little park. So my goal here is to clear out the majority of all this underbrush, clean up some of these trees. There's some nice cedar trees in here, but the limbs are all hanging low, so I'm going to cut them back. There is a standing dead tree back over here. I got to take that down, clean it all out, and then this will be kind of like a little park setting for us. Put some picnic tables out here and stuff. It's pretty. Put a tire swing in one or two of these trees, that kind of stuff. I'm also, this has kind of got a dual purpose, I'm also cutting some of these saplings out because I'm building a sukkah. For those of you that know what that is, a tabernacle for our Feast of Tabernacles starting next week. Some of you don't know what that is, and that's okay. That's okay. I'll get to that probably in another video coming up of what we're doing next week. Anyways, so some of those will be used for that also, because I'm going to try to build an old-fashioned, kind of primitive style one also. Anyways, I thought I would bring this up because while I've been doing this out here, and I know you can't tell, like it doesn't look like I've made any progress. I have. You just can't tell in the video. The point to all this is as I've been out here working, I'm thinking of things that we need to, I'm bleeding. Thinking of things that we need to probably stock up on, especially regards to like tools, parts for tools. And I've mentioned this kind of stuff before, and we have been purchasing some of this. For instance, recently, I'd say over the past week or two, the things that I have been purchasing, or at least writing down to purchase, but some of them I have purchased, are things for, like, say, spark plugs for anything that has a spark plug around here. Chains for the chainsaw, blades for mowers and saws, making sure that I've either got enough, and if I don't, need some more, filters, tires, trying to figure out what tires I can buy now, what I need to be buying extra. I'm not saying tires that I'm needing tires anyways. In fact, our truck has brand new tires on them, but purchasing, extra. I'm saying all this because, as you know, things are starting to tighten up, price-wise and with shortages. And this is kind of the thinking that we all need to start working around. Yes, food, of course. Keep stacking foods, stocking up on food. It's important. Food is important. It is, obviously, it's life, right? So you've got to have food. Food and water are your two primary things. Make sure you have plenty of food. You don't have to spend tons and tons on food. You don't have to have the, freeze-dried stuff in a can and all that. It's good, and I advise people that if you can afford it, to have at least a little bit of that, because it is nice to have stuff you don't have to worry about, and you just put some hot water in it, and it's good. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can go to preparewithtravis.com. I know, a shameless plug, and you can pick you up some really good quality stuff there. But just food that you normally eat out of your normal diet, and try to figure it out what is the best to get has a longer shelf life. Make sure there's some variety there. Make sure you have plenty of seasoning, salt, sugar, that kind of stuff, because if things get bad and you're stuck eating beans and rice and oats and stuff like that, having some salt and seasonings and sugars and stuff will help it go down a lot better. And then, of course, water. Water is immensely important. You need to have a supply of water. You need to have water stocked up. And then you need to have contingency plans on where to get your water. If your only water source is coming out of a water pipe in your sink that's a city utility or some kind of municipal water system, that's not really enough. You need to have another plan. You need to have filtration, and I would have at least a couple of filtration systems planned out. I'm going to be talking about one here in probably a couple of weeks. I found out one of the listeners here is an inventor, and he's invented his own kind of water filtration. He's asked me to check it out for him, and I guess he's sending it to me. So there's no like money stuff involved. It's just he wants me to check it out. He's one of the listeners, and he's invented it. So we'll do that. And then you need to be able to either store it or have an alternative source. So if you live near a creek, a pond, a lake, a river, be able to collect rainwater, whatever it is, those things are important. Of course, you need to be able to sanitize that water, disinfect it, and know that as times get worse, the water quality could get worse also, especially if there was some kind of grid down situation where water treatment plants weren't working and sewage treatment and that kind of stuff. So now moving on to what I actually intended this video to be about is the other stuff, the stuff to keep your homestead running, the stuff to keep your cars running, the stuff to keep your truck and your tools and just the basic needs of life and of a homestead, aside from the most critical ones, which is food, water, and medicine. Things in your house, do you have what you need to get by with? The kitchen utensils. Do you have ways to repair things? Do you have ways to sharpen knives? I know this sounds pretty simple, but things are starting to get rough. I talked to a local tire guy here that I've purchased tires from before, and good old boy, and he was telling me, he said he was trying to order a set of tires for a guy's Chevy pickup, like a 2000 something model. He said, we're talking just regular old standard tires that would fit any truck, out there pretty much. He said, and I couldn't hardly even find them. He said, it took me a while of checking different suppliers. He said, and when I found them, they were about almost twice what they would have been a year and a half ago. He said, I just can't get stuff in. I just can't. He said, and when I can find it, the price is just astronomical. We're hearing more and more about shipping costs. They're just going through the roof, and not only going through the roof, but they're having a hard time even doing it, even if it's possible to ship. Yes, it's expensive, but they're having a hard time getting the shipping containers, getting things unloaded. It's getting rough out there, folks, and the news media just is not talking about it at all. They're just not. And then we've got this debt ceiling coming up. I think it's something like Wednesday or Thursday is when they're expected us to, as a nation, max out. And apparently they're not going to do anything about it, which they really shouldn't. Okay, I'm not advocating that they extend the debt ceiling and stuff. I'm saying that it doesn't appear that they're going to. And of course the news is saying, well, this could bring about a recession. And I'm thinking, it could bring about a recession? Are you saying that 13% plus actual inflation, almost $30 trillion in debt, a GDP that is going down, and a GDP to debt ratio that's 125+%, and you're saying, well, we're not already in a recession? The point is that come next week, we could start seeing things economically take a downhill turn. Hitting a debt ceiling isn't always the worst thing in the world. But when you add that to whatever else is happening right now and all this other stuff, it could certainly affect the economy greatly. And then add to that with the shortages and the employee shortages and people getting kicked out of their homes and the prices of things just skyrocketing. And everything on the horizon is indicating that the prices of things are going to continue to go up, and the likelihood of entering a hyperinflation is becoming more and more likely. I'm not saying it's definite, but over the next 6 months to a year, the likelihood of us, entering into hyperinflation, I'd say that possibility is getting stronger and stronger. And so adding to all that, and then of course this health crisis that who knows how dramatic and out of control they're gonna, make things be, we've got to stock up. And so again, as I'm out here was doing this, I was thinking about different things around the house that we could probably, stock up on. Do I have enough tools to do things? Do I have enough to take care of the animals? Do I have enough of what I need to process the animals? We process our own animals. That's why we raise sheep instead of cows, because right now I don't have all the equipment that I need to process a full-size, steer or cow. And so it's just easier on me to do sheep, but I do it all on my own. So do I have enough to do that? And do I have enough to take care of the tools to do that? Do I have what I need with the vehicles and stuff like that? Of course, us guys, we can always use more tools. But do I have the basics of what I need? And so I'm going through my mind thinking about that. And then of course, along with that is out of what I need, what can I actually afford, and which is most important? This is the kind of stuff you should probably be doing, writing this down, talking with your spouse, because things are getting tough and tight. There's been a lot of talk in the mainstream media about Christmas, holidays, telling everyone, you need to buy your Christmas presents now because it's going to get bad. They're just not going to be available. Well, the interesting thing is they're talking about only Christmas presents. I've not really seen a whole lot talked about things that are actually important: food and water and medical stuff, and just stuff to keep your life going, right? I haven't heard much about that. And those things are in short supply now and will continue to be in short supply also. They're just focusing on the Christmas. It's like they don't want to give it all away. They don't want to get people in too much of a panic. The fact is, folks, stuff is getting harder and harder to come by. I've talked to a few people just in the last week or so about getting certain tools for, equipment that they run, tools or parts for vehicles, parts for tractors, parts for, I talked to a neighbor farmer down the road just a few days ago, and he was talking about, he had to buy a new piece of farming equipment, and he said he was really worried. It was a hay bine. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's to cut the hay, right? To cut the hay in a certain way. And it's, we're still in hay season. He said, I've got another cutting of hay and mine completely it's destroyed. It came apart. He said, and I was really worried about it. He said, it took a while. He said, but we finally found one, okay? He said, it was a little bit of a struggle to find one that worked for me and everything. He said, because things, they're saying that it's just hard to get a hold of a lot of equipment. This is unheard of. 2 or 3 years ago, and this guy's like, I have the cash money in hand. He said, it just took a while to find what I needed. 2 or 3 years ago, if you had the cash money and you want to go buy farming equipment out here or any other state that's a farming state, you could find it. No problems whatsoever. Any day of the week, you could go buy farm equipment. And here we are where it's becoming harder to find. It's becoming harder to find construction equipment. The parts for construction equipment. We rented a piece of equipment here last year for about a week. It took almost 6 months, about 4.5, 5 months to get that piece of equipment delivered because a part on it broke and they couldn't get the part. And this was during last year's lockdown all over the place. They couldn't get the part. I'm hearing that things are even worse than that now, that it's just hard to get anything. So start going over everything. I know myself and many other of these channels focus so much on food, water, medicine, and those are, of course, important. but think of the other things that you just use in your daily life. You know, my wife, she's been doing the same thing, and she's been figuring out, you know, personal hygiene stuff that we need to stock up on more to increase it a little bit more. The detergents and soaps and things to make that. Because you can only stock up on so much, and then it gets to the point that it's probably just better to stock up on the ingredients to make those things, which is what we usually do anyways. You know, we make our own laundry detergent, that kind of stuff. And so she's been, you know, figuring out what more we need. This is the kind of stuff we have to start getting our mind wrapped around. And for many of us, it's natural. For some of you, it's not. You're new to this, or you've just, you know, you always thought of prepping as, you know, getting through a hurricane or getting through a tornado or getting through just a few weeks or maybe a month or two of something. There's a strong possibility that we could go through months, if not years, because some of the numbers are coming out showing that the high inflation could last. Even if it doesn't go into hyperinflation, that high inflation numbers could last for the next 3 to 4 years. And with all the other stuff going on, we don't know how far all that's going to get taken. How much of a, you know, police state are we going to be living in 3 to 4 years? You don't know how hard it's going to be to get a hold of stuff. So start that now, thinking of every aspect of your life and your homestead, of what you have, and then the things that you need to make those things function, and then what you can stock up on out of that. And that'll help get you just a little bit further ahead, because things are already getting hard to find, and the prices of stuff, when you can find it, as you all know, is just skyrocketing everywhere. All right, folks, I've got to actually get a little bit more done out here, because I've probably spent too much time thinking and not enough time doing. So I'm going to get off of here and try to do some more clearing. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.